Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode. In this video, I just want to talk about things that you can do this year to make your life better, to give yourself purpose. If you're new to this channel, I talk about life lessons, I talk about different challenges that I've faced, I talk about books that I've read that probably can help you. I talk about different wide range of experiences. So yeah, why don't you consider subscribing to this channel and let's see how it goes. So looking back, the things that I've really worked for me, and I think that sharing with you can really help you and give you a better year. One of them is really social media. So our life is really controlled by social media. Everywhere you go, you're on the train or on the vehicle, you're always on your phone. When you're trying to sleep, a message comes in, you want to check. There's always that urge to be on the phone. And somehow we lose focus. We lose focus of the greater meaning of life. We lose focus for the many things that we can be able to achieve. And somehow it kind of controls us. If you try to imagine your life, without a phone, it's almost impossible. But what we can do is try to control our time in social media. I feel like social media, if you're not careful, can be toxic. It's almost so addictive that you find yourself that you can't do without it. I myself had a problem, for example, that I would jump in, for example, right from Twitter. Out of Twitter, once you're done with that, you go to Instagram. After Instagram, you go to Facebook. And then you go back to Twitter again to check if there's anything new. And all of a sudden you realize half of your day is gone. So I feel like one of the things that can help you feel better is if you can try to take a breather from social media. Even for a second. You can even start with saying, for example, hey, have maybe 20% of your time, reduce 20% of your time in social media. And this you can use by tracking either on your phone, whichever phone you use. I think these days there are better ways of tracking your time on social media and even disabling things on your social media. The other thing that I feel like is so important is we all have weaknesses, right? And I don't want to delve in that, but I feel like we all have weaknesses. But the greatest asset that you can do is actually focusing on making your 10% become your 90%. Because most of the time we kind of look at ourselves and say, hey, I'm perfect. But if you look at your inner self and tell somebody to tell your weaknesses, you can actually find ways of working. And there are many ways of doing it. One is probably, for example, if you have anger issues or you have spending issues, or you could have different challenges, and it's normal. I have weaknesses or whatever it is. And just being able to say, hey, this year I'm focusing on actually getting better at doing this, or getting better at controlling this, or getting better at doing this, perfecting this. And you realize that at the end of it, you're becoming a better human being, an all-round human being in many ways. So I feel like if one of the things that you should invest in is actually identifying your weaknesses, and two, just taking a deliberate action to just improving on your weaknesses. A great thing that I've seen over time and really helps a lot as well is making the deliberate effort to start something new, right? It can be anything. You can even tell yourself that, hey, I'm looking at learning how to swim. I'm looking at playing golf. I'm looking at writing a new book. And it doesn't have to be perfect. But the fact that you have a purpose, the whole year, for example, to do that particular, to dedicate your time to that particular task, it's something magical. Because when your brain is refocused in actually doing something, it's magical in terms of you will be able to get to a point where looking back, you feel very satisfied of what you've been able to achieve. Tying on to that point, there's always a deliberate effort or a chance that you will start something but not finishing, right? And that's very common. You could probably be starting a task, and before that you get distracted and leave that and start something. For me, that is dangerous, because what happens is, if you don't run the course, it's more like starting a race and not finishing it. And when you don't finish it, you don't learn from it. When you don't finish it, you don't get to evaluate how far you've come, so that you can be able to improve on to the next step. So I feel like whatever you start, always try to finish, or try to get to the next chapter, so that you can be able to evaluate yourself. The other thing that I feel like you have to know is, life is a game of little confidence, basically step-by-step confidence. Success does not come like 100%. Success is kind of, you build on one step at a time. It's like climbing the stairs. And whenever you do one stairs, you need to pat yourself on the back and say, hey, I have done this, right? Let me now do the next step. And always when you look back, you realize that you've done 10 steps. So whenever you do, always take that reflection or think, just sit back and relax and say, hey, look, I have achieved something, even if it's 2 or 3 steps, and I'm happy. And get friends who also are kind of your cheerleaders, because that's also very important. One of my friends told me that if you want to be successful in life or in business or whatever it is, always celebrate the little success. If you're writing a book and you're able to write 2-3 pages or 1 page, celebrate it, right? Don't wait to write 100 pages and you celebrate, because when you celebrate the small achievements, then you are able to kind of grow. I think also we all have the liberty to spend and to save and whatever you want to do, right? But I feel like sometimes we lose track of how we spend money, on how we do it is. You can get carried away in all these things. Fine, it's your money and whatever it is, but being able to track your expenses or have spending limits or whatever it is helps you become a better person in terms of in doing other things, whether you're doing investments or you're doing savings. I used to have a habit which was quite dangerous of going to supermarkets or whatever it is the whole time, just swiping and swiping and swiping. But the danger with that, I used to be afraid of actually looking at my bank account, because then you're just spending and spending and spending and spending until you're not even sure how much you still have in your bank account. Probably even one time you will try to swipe your card and you get a decline because, hey, you've spent all your money, and trying to track back in your head how much you've really spent the whole week could be challenging. So I feel like, for example, at that particular time, what I used to do is basically plan my budget for the whole week, go to the bank or go to the ATM, withdraw my cash, whether it was $100 or whatever it is, and just plan my week and say, hey, this is what I'm going to spend. If I'm spending online or whatever it is, then I kind of set a limit. You could also do that with your bank. Right now, even there are apps that you could be able to use and be able to track your expenses. So that's something that is quite useful. The last thing that I think is useful, and especially in these COVID times, that I feel like we neglect so much, and because we live in life of isolation, is spending time with your loved ones, spending time with things that you want to do, whether it's going on holiday or whatever it is, just socializing, because it really helps in your mental state. I feel like when you just settle into a routine so many times and whatever it is, somehow it gets a toll into you, and you don't realize it until you get into a tipping point, or suddenly your behavior changes or whatever the case. So I feel like if you don't create time to spend time either with your loved ones or with activities that you are able to do, it's something that can actually take a toll on you. So in this year, I urge you to actually make the deliberate effort to put aside work and actually spend more time with your loved ones, spend more time doing different activities from what you are able to do. Yeah, so let me know if there's anything that you feel like is actually important that has made a difference to you this year, and you're probably, or whatever goals that you're looking to do to be able to make yourself a better human being. Till then, cheers, bye.